Welcome to Three Witches and a Druid podcast, a Canadian podcast about paganism in today's modern society. And now, Three Witches and a Druid podcast presents Lone Wolf.
Baby witch has no will. A gatekeeper who is yourself. To first learning to suffering. To get on we must fall. So fall on down. Nothing happy without a tear. So cry it all out. To know the well into dare. Shadow work. This is my spell. Silence, do never tell. A baby witch has no will. Gatekeeper who is yourself. So I'm mean to the cowing folk. Sorry about that. Not cruel, just want you to know. Want you to grow. Spirit and wolf, just so you know. In the Highlands is my home. Shadow work, this is my spell. Silence, do never tell. Baby witch has no will. Gatekeeper who is yourself. Read the books, but learn in nature. Walk through the wood. Put your own magic on paper. Better that you do. Craft has no hatred, not an ounce of bigotry. All the gods keep them sacred. Shadow, this is my spell. Silence, don't never tell. A baby witch has no will. Gatekeeper who yourself.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Three Witches and a Druid, where we sit around enjoying some hard honey cranberry mead this time, and we are talking about hipster witchcraft and our thoughts on that. Why are you laughing?
I just think it's hilarious.
I'm Margot.
And I'm Maeve. Gwen.
And I'm Brian. Yeah, so this article came through, what was it, on Pantheos?
It was Pantheos.
Yeah, Hipster Witch, Aesthetics, Empowerment in Instagram. And it's something I wanted to talk about a while ago, but I don't think the three of you know how to spell TikTok, let alone what a TikTok.
Excuse me?
Do you have TikTok?
I'm not on TikTok, but I watch if it comes in through my Facebook feed, then I'll watch it.
There's a German Shepherd named Sadie that I think is actually very amusing. Sadie the German Shepherd, they have some funny little clips. I will watch that.
So when TikTok first sort of made its appearance on the social media scene, there was a big, I wouldn't say revival, but like a big push for what was called witch talk. And witch talk was the mother of such things as hexing the moon, fairy magic, and how to get along with fairies, and all sorts of other wonderful...
How do you hex the moon?
Don't ask. It just happened. There was a lot of people, they stood outside and they hexed the moon. It's just what happened on TikTok. I don't know.
You can't see the look on my face, my look of incredulous, what the hell?
Don't question these things. So there was a period in it, I wouldn't say it was like a joke or anything, but I think a lot of established pagans had a good laugh at the concept of this. And it died down a bit. Witch talk still exists, of course, but sort of what came out of that is this idea of the boss witch. And it's, as you said, hipster witchcraft, where certain individuals in our society have taken a form of profitable feminism or girl boss mentality, goughed it up, and it calls it witchcraft. So this isn't really a discussion about are you for it, are you against it? It's nothing like that. It's just what are our thoughts on this new form of witchcraft? And that's the other question. Is it even new?
I don't think it's anything new. Like the idea we were sort of pre-discussing, taking new age ideas and gothing them up and calling them witchcraft.
There was a lot of that in the store that you went to.
A lot of
Little Miss
yes.
Although they were considered the pagan bookshop, they were very much the new age.
New age was where the money was.
Yeah.
What's the difference between new age and pagan? You move the decimal point.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
It's all about where the money is.
Yes.
When things first started way back in the day, 30 years ago, I found a lot of the new age were sometimes, and I mean, I'm that age now, were a lot of older ladies who were into a lot of the spirituality and this and that, but were still, were grown up hard Christian, and they didn't think of it as witchcraft or anything. So all of that new agey stuff was always around.
I think new age is also the main focus is self-development and self-improvement.
And that's wonderful.
And not all, that can be a component of witchcraft / paganism / whatever. It is not the sole focus.
No,
it's not the sole focus.
No, I mean, and certain things like, saying your mantras every day and saying a little prayer and forgiving yourself and asking, the universe for help. There's nothing wrong with that, at all. And if that helps a person, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Life's too hard, and things are pretty hard right now. So to me, that's excellent. I think a lot of it for me would be, what are these websites or what are these people doing, and how much money are they asking?
Well, there's where the decimal points moved again, because a lot of people that. Now, I think this was sparked by reading an older blog post from Pantheos. It's written by, I think it's like 2016 or 2018 or something, I think. 2018? Anyway, this woman who wrote it is in an initiatory version of Wicca, so more of traditional Wicca. And, she was noticing that a lot of the books that are being purchased or, on lists, the high earners are people that are coming out of this online community primarily and have this sort of new age twist to their witchcraft. And their camps are maybe $800 or $1,000 a month. There was one that I actually had looked at, the one because I followed this woman's work, not online because I'm not on TikTok or any of those primarily, very, very popular ones, but I read her in magazines and that sort of thing. So anyway, her camp was like $800 to $1,000 for a week. And she was like, can't get somebody to a pagan conference for, people complain about a couple $100 for a pagan conference usually. Yeah. And again, there's that, which will lead into something else that we're going to have to talk about soon, and that's paganism and money. Because there's a lot of wealthy pagans, but there's this, people don't want to pay for that.
Where are these wealthy pagans?
They're charging $1,000 a week for a conference.
I was going to say, if I'm remember correctly, wasn't the guy at conference like $50 for the entire weekend, and we were like trying to give away tickets by the end of it? Like, I'm not paying $50 to go listen to a
bunch of academics that came from across the country to give papers and stuff. Yeah, no, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. But if it had a new age slant, they might pay $500 for that.
Okay. But you would attract the crowd,
yes,
who would pay $500 for that, not the same people who wouldn't pay $50.
Yeah. That happens in a lot of industries, though. Like, it's a little off topic, but I once bought this sounds ridiculous. Once bought a stool at Jisk for $99. The exact same stool was for sale on a photography website as a posing stool. Exact same stool in every way, and it was $300. And it was only $300 because it was a photographer's tool.
Yes.
But it wasn't any different. It was the exact same thing.
There's many examples of that kind of thing. Yeah. Things used for medical purposes that for everyday use.
Yes. Sutures.
Yes. Or like a popsicle stick, like $1,000 for $2. But if you use it, buy it medical grade to clean pipettes, it's $700 for $20 or something ridiculous like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think I'm going to try to get rich, man. I could put on a workshop.
It's all about
So for now on, listen to this podcast. It's going to cost you $50. It's no longer about paganism. It's about new age, bettering yourself.
Self-help.
And self-help and all that is actually really excellent. There's no doubt about it. You know what it reminds me of a little bit? Back in the day when, say, Scott Cunningham started coming out with his books. And you could do your own. You could be a solitary. You could self-initiate. And all of these things came out that you could, get your own friends together and get it going. The traditionalists who were, oh no, you can only be initiated.
Yeah.
The old BTWs, right? British Traditional Witchcraft, and they were around. But, they were very secretive and they were very this, and these aren't real witches. And it's kind of like it's evolved again. Well, this isn't real witchcraft because they didn't think that sort of thing was self-initiation and all of this wasn't, that's not real. You're not initiated. You don't have a high priestess. You need to follow this strict regimen of training. So it's evolved again.
There is a bubble of these things happening right now. And that may change because what society, what culture gets interested in is it fades, it comes and goes. And so these same people may repackage their new age philosophies in a different packaging and resell it, or they may truly identify and it may be a lifelong path. And who are we to judge?
There is that.
Well, and who are we to determine how they identify? And if they identify for 2 years as this or 20, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, if you all want to send money, $1,000, I will go to one of these conferences and I will tell you all about it. Because I got a mortgage, man.
Before we started recording, we were just discussing there is a point where this conversation becomes a form of gatekeeping. And that's not the goal here. We're not telling anyone to do whatever they want. That's actually one of the great things about paganism. But there is a point where it's like, are you just watching your friends getting conned out of their hard-earned money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have been on a couple of like women's weekends. I remember there was one years ago at this the Pumpkin Ecological Farm in the Valley, and a couple of these
I love
women.
that name.
And it was a women's weekend, and it was not pagan, so to speak. And there was lots of people there who weren't witches or whatnot. And I went there, and they did all sorts of, pagan style things, and and all these wonderful, feminine empowerment and all of that. But it wasn't much called witchcraft. You know what I mean? So a lot of it, they may just be putting the witchcraft on these things. And I mean, it was a wonderful weekend. I had a lovely time. And I didn't care what it was.
Yeah.
I was just going.
Whatever you
All I know is that I was up on the mountain in a thunder and lightning storm in my tent that weekend. That's what I remember. And I'm like, oh, look, I'm on the top of a mountain in a tent. The lightning is flashing by. Remember that? But no, it was, if they're putting that whole witchcraft, because there's that whole, all women are magic. That whole feminine movement. Women are magic. Women are the boss. Women are strong. And it is very much easier. My daughter, is like 20 next month. It's way easier for her to have those attitudes than 40 years ago.
Oh, yes.
Much easier. So if they're already promoting that for younger, for people,
Power to them.
oh,
Yeah.
Brian, you were mentioning you're worried, like at what point are you worried that your friends are losing money?
yeah.
If you see
They're getting
value,
conned.
getting conned. If they receive value for what they spend, the person that goes down to the store and buys a bottle of Coke or whatever, are they getting conned? They're buying sugar
True,
water that
true.
ruins their health, or even not even Coke. You could say just a bottle of water, because basically most bottled water that you buy
Yeah.
is just, they
Tap
turn a
water.
tap
Yeah.
on and put it in a plastic bottle that ruins our environment. So, that happens all around us. If the person who buys it derives value from that purchase, who am I to say? If they come to me and say, I heard this, I'm interested in this, it's nice to have good free website services or books that are available at the library or something that you can pass on and say, if this interests you, here's where they got their information from, or here's where and maybe go at it that way. There have been, with a lot of self-publishing available and through Amazon and Lulu and things like that, there's been a lot of books that are either plagiarized or full of garbage or not very well written, all sorts of things, but they have a beautiful aesthetic, and there are people that know how to use the internet and the social media to their advantage. So they make very good sales. So I think if you're looking to buy something, be discerning. If you're looking to buy something, whether it's an event, whether it's a book, whatever it is, or an ongoing monthly subscription or something, maybe Google that person and see what comes up about them that isn't paid for by them, that isn't on their own sites or on their own whatever. And maybe I don't know them, but they are actually an academic out of whatever. Maybe they're a practicing witch and have a storefront and a this and a that. And just because we haven't heard of them through the usual means, that doesn't mean they haven't built up years of experience.
Yeah, and we do have that tool now with the internet. You can look up review of this book, review of, and you can get 20 different reviews. And if 10 of them are horrible, well, then I wouldn't go. If at least half are horrible, I wouldn't go for it. But if like 15 are like really enjoyed it, it's so much easier now. Do you know how many books over the years I bought that I went, no? It's like, no, not doing that. Kind of, not that book I didn't like, or it repeats. And I wouldn't even know if someone came to me today and said, what books should I look into? Like, I have no idea in the last 20 years any new, beginner, like Wicca books or pagan books, or very few. I can tell you the old classics, but I can't tell you the new ones.
The nice thing, though, is like with a lot of literature nowadays, it's not just spell books or Wicca 101. There's a very wide variety of topics.
Yes.
A lot of philosophy.
It's great. It's actually probably the best time to be an author. It's probably the best time to be getting into this and discovering new books and new authors, because there's so much selection, so many options. I listen to a lot of pagan podcasts. I listen to a lot of interviews with authors. I don't think I've picked up a new book where I'm like, no, this is garbage in a very long time.
Excellent.
Any books I picked up and thought to myself, this is terrible, are from the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s. But in the last few years, the quality is drastically increased. Now, somebody at any point can correct me. I'm sure there's a book I haven't come across that's absolute garbage. I'm sure that they exist. I just...
Because you haven't been looking for them.
Well, yeah. I'm also not actively looking.
Yes.
You're already using a process of streaming what you see because you're listening to podcasts, you're listening to the authors speak about their books, and I have to admit that's what's caused me to buy a lot.
So, like that Sacred Action book. I listened to him on a podcast, and it's an excellent book.
What's
it called?
Sacred Actions. It's written by a Druid, and I had listened to her being interviewed on a podcast and thought both that she made sense to me, and also she referred to her book, and I thought I could use that, and I could get some value out of that. And I do a lot of that. I get a lot of my book purchasing choices through listening to authors speak about their books.
Yeah.
So I think a little discernment is necessary, and just the same as there are, valid authors and pagan entrepreneurs on social media. There are people stealing their accounts or mimicking their accounts and then approaching. Then I've gotten little messages through Instagram from fake accounts. And, when you first look at it, you don't notice, but, it's got an extra O in it, or it's got a underscore after the name, or some little thing that you don't notice. They have all the right pictures, and they're wanting to sell me a tarot reading or something. So it's obviously a blanket, whatever, because I'm not buying a tarot reading. But
too many people that give you one.
That's right.
But there's a famous Instagram influencer, Maria the Arcane. I think every week there's a clone account of her. It's really disappointing to see, but that's just part of the internet, unfortunately.
Exactly. But if you are not aware of that, you can be giving the wrong person money for a reading or a service or a spell candle or whatever.
So a little touchy to talk about this, but like what we're talking about is pretty much how the Temple of Witchcraft started. Like that's quite successful now, and people who are in the Temple of Witchcraft are very satisfied, very happy with what has come from all this. I don't want to talk too much on it because I don't really know a whole lot about the Temple of Witchcraft.
No, I've never heard anybody who has gone through their program say anything but wonderful things.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed the books myself.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
And he has the most amazing voice for meditation.
Well, and that's part of the issue. Like, are they buying it because of the book, or are they buying it for the voice? That's not the first time I've heard
but his meditations are really helpful and really I've always had very good success with them, and the fact that he has an amazing voice just is a bonus.
Because every person who
we had some amazing guided meditation.
Yeah.
But the voice just made me want to scratch my eyeballs out.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and the CD, the CDs are the add-on with the book. So you've got all the really great. Yeah, you buy something. The book has got excellent. If he couldn't teach it to you, you're down.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to get Krista to do guided meditations, and we'll sell those.
There you go.
That's how we're going to make our money. But ADF has a bunch of meditations, and it's like, the person who originally did it was like, no, I can't do that. So I had Karen record them. I listen to Karen.
Yeah.
This is off topic but funny. Say you have a book and there's a lovely meditation in it, and you're thinking, I'd really like to do this meditation, but I need someone to talk me through it. Have you ever recorded your own voice doing it and then tried to listen back? It's like, no, that doesn't work at all.
No.
It's like, that's not me. That doesn't work in the slightest. I've done that before. It's like, no, that was bad. Back when you had a tape deck.
Yes.
I wouldn't know how to record on my computer. If I wouldn't save my life. I could do it on my phone, maybe. That's about it.
Right. So it's sort of on the same topic, but a slightly changed path. You guys may not be able to participate in this. Like I said, you've looked at TikTok, but there's an entire internet world of just pagan aesthetics, about looking as witch as possible, without necessarily knowing what you're doing. So that's the other part of this conversation, is not just the girl boss conferences, but also walking the walk without being able to talk the talk.
I have to laugh. I have Instagram, and I have a few. I think I have a generalized, I don't know the right terminology, but a generalized sort of witch style, whatever. So I get witch style type posts that come up. And Instagram is a social media account that is primarily picture with small amounts of text. And there was this lovely witchy picture come up, and I always find them inspiring. And underneath the poster had put on about the spell they were doing, and they, put all the information out and how they did it, etc. And they said that they really felt, I can't remember, but that they'd really built up the experience to do this properly because they've been doing witchcraft for 6 months. And I was like spit my tea out all over my phone, and was afraid of fried circuits and stuff, because I was, oh my goodness, can you imagine? I don't think even that young I was that silly. But anyway, they felt that 6 months, I don't think 6 months of riding a bike, you get it all down. I don't know how they think you figured things out.
I get
at 6 months.
Yeah, to me, I guess, wow, to be that self-assured. That's amazing, because I remember at the shop, there would be people who were regular customers, practicing, buying all the right books, asking all the right questions, 3-4 years into it, asking them that we were looking for people who might want to lead a ritual at the gathering, and deer in headlights, I'm nowhere ready to do that. Or even people who just say, well, I've never actually cast a circle at home because I'm afraid I would do something in the wrong order.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny you mentioned that. We haven't. This is a little off topic. You've heard about all the Christian baptisms that are off the record now because hundreds of priests apparently recited it incorrectly. So when you get baptized, there's something, I, blah, 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 hereby baptize you in the name of Jesus Christ. A lot of them were saying, we baptize you in the name of Jesus, which was incorrect. So the Christian...
is this Catholic?
Yeah, the Catholics have done away with all their baptisms. We're not Catholics anymore. And it was discovered that a bunch of priests had gone through this too, so they weren't actually priests anymore because they weren't baptized. Yeah, so you're mentioning a teenager in a store, I can't do this, where the Catholic Church just messed it up too recently.
Yeah, but my response always to that is, your intent is there, your heart is in the right place, you call the quarters in the wrong order, it's not the end of the world. The goddess, she understands.
Yep. This is not a portal to hell. Yes. Speaking to the goddess, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
you could probably do more damage assembling IKEA furniture.
I'm sure.
It's
damn IKEA to hell.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate
how can I help you? Oh, shoot, sorry, I just put the wrong leg on at the wrong time. Mispronouncing the furniture name wrong.
I can't. I can't. Going to IKEA gives me a serious headache. It's crazy business. It's crazy in there.
Yeah, so while this conversation, it's not about gatekeeping. You do what makes you happy, what you feel educates and enlightens you.
The thing that you have to be careful of is if anyone's going to ask you to do something that makes you feel uncomfortable, you have to do this.
That was always be
initiated. If that makes you uncomfortable,
run.
Tell them no and have nothing. And you know what? And it's a lot easier now. You can click that button on your computer and they're gone. You're not seeing them all the time at every event. So that's kind of nice. But anything that makes you uncomfortable, anything that's, I can't do that until you give me this much money, and it's too much money, and do not feel that just because you can't fork out all that money that you can't learn it. You can read about it. If you don't want to buy books, you can go online. You can find what feels authentic to you, provided you're harming none and you're not, hexing the moon. What the heck? I gotta look that up, man. What the heck is hexing the moon?
Well, I was going to say, also don't allow the the leader of the group to burn their initials on your inner thigh.
Yeah, there's that. Or, if they say, oh, well, for your initiation, you must have sex. Or this, well, tell them to go screw a goat. Tell them to get away. Yeah. Like just nothing that's going to make you uncomfortable. If it makes you feel empowered, if it makes you feel good about yourself and happy, provided you're harming no one. And you're
including yourself.
Including yourself. Yes, indeed. Then, it's okay. It might not be my thing necessarily, but I've been on things like that and I had a very nice time. I remember I was at the Gaia gathering and there were some hardcore traditionalists there. And if y'all remember to ride a silver broomstick,
yes,
and to stir a magic cauldron, silver raven wolf, and they were crapping on these fluffy bunny this and fluff blah blah blah, and I said, look, and I was getting annoyed at this point, and because I do have a traditional streak, but still, I said, look, so what the steps are to get to your enlightenment or to find the goddess?
Exactly.
It might not be the hardcore whatever traditionalist, but it's still some good advice. What does it matter how you get there, so long as it's doing, positive things for you? And they looked at me and I said, who cares if their meditation is different than the way you do that? It's very pleasant. Not everyone's the same. But they were also people who didn't feel you were a witch unless, whatever.
You had gone through this initiation.
And I mean, there was nothing wrong with the stuff in there. Might not have been for everyone, but not everyone's got the same hardcore mentality about that. And I basically told them, shut up. They were getting on my nerves. And I mean, like I say, I've got some traditional streak in me. I do like ceremony and ritual. I can do anything, but I do like that old-fashioned ceremony and ritual as well, which I don't get to do too often. But yeah, anything's making you uncomfortable, run away and don't give them any money.
And again, when you think about me at Little Mysteries, I pretty much embodied the witch aesthetic at that time. And now I'm quite the opposite.
Yeah.
The thought, if you think of me 20 years ago wearing anything but black.
Yeah.
And now I'm rarely in black. And if I do, I've got purple swirly tights on or something,
Right.
So
You're just out of the Miss Frizzle of
I went to the Shambhala school, that private school. They wanted someone to come in and give a talk about it. And I went in, I had a pair of slacks and a blazer and whatnot. Oh, this is 25 or more years ago. And the woman looked at me and she said, well, you're not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
And I said, oh? She said, well, you just look so normal. Well, that's part of the point. We're everywhere. I had on a blazer. I thought,
well, it's the same when that time you and I went to Dorchester. They knew that someone who worked in the bookstore and a local witch who taught in the community were coming. And they thought we were the opposite.
Reversed.
Yeah, they thought
bookstore.
Yeah, Janet was the bookstore.
I had to find a pair of beige pants to go there. Beige. And I'm like, I didn't want to look like, crazy, but I just wanted to look, kind of relaxed but professional. And it was like, what the heck? But I mean, not that I can't look spectacular as well, but,
Honey. Just because it's ugly doesn't mean it's funky.
Oh, I like ugly stuff. But so it's very interesting. It's like that whole not everybody is,
what you expect them to be either.
No.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Not everybody is what you expect them to be.
No.
I mean, I remember too when I first started being more deeper involved in my journey, discovering people who were professionals and lived fairly normal lives and had their lives together and were pagan. And I was like, oh, that's a thing. We're not all sort of flaky
Quite
balls.
frankly, I know more people personally in my life than I know of the other. But but there is this perception, and that's got to be another episode. But you're right.
Yes.
How does the social media witch talk aesthetic feed into a certain, preconceptions, misconceptions of who we are and what we look like and what we do, all those things.
That's as old as the hills. I remember people kind of giving me a hard time because, well, you're just middle-class white bread. And I mean, I lived in a subdivision with a mortgage and a home and all of this and blah, blah, blah. Well, what do you know about it? I'm like, what are you talking about? Just because I have a job at a job car place and, and a mortgage and on and on and on doesn't mean that I'm not following a really great path because I didn't look, I don't know, I wasn't poor enough or weird enough looking. I don't know. It was silly. That's been going on forever and ever. Yeah. And ever. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's just amplified now because of social media.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Recorded.
It's nutty.
But again, at the same time, I do still live my life quite in my own little bubble.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't pay a whole lot of attention to that. So
no, I just do my thing.
Yeah.
But it was peculiar because for the people who figured, how do I say this? There was one group of people who, they figure I don't fit in there because I'm not, I don't know, weird enough or something. But yet with the muggles, they think I'm a complete eccentric.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
That's myself as well.
Yeah, they think I'm a complete eccentric weirdo. But some of the real serious weirdos thought I was, some normal. It's like, what are you talking about? It's all ridiculous. I'm just doing I am too old to care about that shit anymore.
Well, that's it. Right?
Actually, I didn't give a shit about it back then. It just used to baffle me. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I was mostly amused at the whole beige label, and that was usually a good way of knowing who really knows you and who doesn't.
Yes,
right?
that's true.
Oh, you beige? You're like, I got your number.
Yeah.
I know more about you than you know about me.
That's right. Anyhow, well, look, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. It has been lovely to sit here with everyone and talk. And before I close up, I know we had a little bit of word that some people were looking for the witching hour. Because of COVID and this, the station was closed and there was some pre-records. But come the middle of March, I should be back in person. And you would just go to ckdu.ca at 7 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time every second Friday. So it will be back. I know people have been asking.
It's an actual radio show, not a podcast.
No, it's not a podcast. It's a radio show at Dalhousie University in Halifax. So ckdu.ca, and I'll be having lots of lovely guests. And so if you'd like to contact us, you can find us on our Facebook page. Certainly leave any comments or suggestions for shows you might like to see. If you have any questions, give us all kinds of thumbs up.
Three Witches and a Druid podcast would like to take a moment to thank our amazing Patreon supporters. Today, we shout out to Danny, Tania, Sarah, Lore, Kay, Linda, and Jennifer. Without your generous support and contributions, we couldn't bring you this magical content, and we thank you for listening.
Until next time, everyone, merry meet,
Merry part,
and merry meet again.
Blessed be.
This has been Three Witches and a Druid podcast. Thanks for listening.